The heart of the Arizona desert holds many wonders, such as a cloudless day overlooking the clear blue water of Lake Havasu. This spectacular man-made lake is home to one of the world's great wonders, the legendary London Bridge. This impressive structure represents more than 2,000 years of English history. The London Bridge and its forerunners played an important role in the evolution of the City of London, protecting its shores from the hordes of invading armies down through the centuries. But what's the London Bridge doing here in Arizona? How was it transported across the Atlantic, and by whom? Come join us as we explore the history of this amazing monument to man's ingenuity and its journey across 2 continents.
London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. Build it up with bricks and mortar, bricks and mortar, bricks and mortar. Build it up with bricks and mortar, my fair lady. Bricks and mortar will never stay, never stay, never stay. Bricks and mortar will never stay, my fair lady. Build it up with stone so strong, stone so strong, stone so strong. It will last for ages long, my fair lady.
Philosophers believe that a bridge is more than the sum total of its physical composition of stone and steel. And indeed, the London Bridge is a pivotal link to England's history. There's been a bridge across the mighty Thames River for more than 2,000 years. Historians are convinced that London exists because of its long-standing bridge. It's their belief that in 43 AD, invading Roman armies built the first permanent bridge as part of their efforts to advance northward into Europe. The Romans built the original wooden structure at the nearest point inland that would support the weight of a bridge. A settlement quickly sprang up, which was later to become known as London. Little history was recorded during these dark ages, so not much is known of this Roman bridge and its adjacent settlement of Londinium. In fact, there was no recorded reference to the London Bridge until centuries later. In the late 10th century, a Saxon chronicle recorded a grisly act which took place on the bridge. A woman and her son, convicted of witchcraft, were thrown over its wooden railings and plunged into the Thames below. By the 11th century, the London Bridge had become the site of many fierce battles. The country in control of the bridge controlled London, and in 1014, Olaf the Norseman was determined to take possession of it. So he and a vast fleet of battleships sailed up the Thames and, in a show of strength, pulled the wooden structure down. It crumbled into the water. The event was chronicled in Norse song. London Bridge is broken down, gold is won, and bright renown. No doubt the inspiration for the children's verse, London Bridge is falling down. When Londoners rebuilt their bridge, they used not soft wood but solid, sturdy stone, a new strong bridge to withstand the force of invading armies, as well as support the weight of everyday traffic. In 1176, work was begun on its new site just west of the wooden bridge. The massive structure was designed by Peter Cole Church. It consisted of 20 piers supporting 19 arches of varied dimensions. The bridge took some 30 years to build and in the process cost the lives of 150 workers. This London Bridge served as a city unto itself. Multi-level buildings were erected on the bridge, built one against the other. They served as homes and places of commerce. From gate to gate, the bridge was crowded with shops, chapels, people, and livestock. Lawbreakers, beware. Authorities, no longer content to merely drown those convicted of crimes, chose a far more dramatic means of punishment. Convicted criminals were now decapitated, their heads placed atop poles for all to see. In time, the heads of such notables as Sir Thomas More and Guy Fawkes were prominently displayed above the drawbridge and Stonebridge gates. This practice continued through the mid-17th century.
It wasn't fun, it was hardly fun, when a fire would break out to watch the bridge folk run. In 1666 I burned, they jumped into the Thames I learned, and I watched where the water churned to see their wet attire. I hate a fire, I really do, it burns me up, I hate a fire.
London Bridge occupants, no longer worried about invading armies, now held an even greater fear: fire. The overpopulated bridge was a match waiting to be struck, and in 1633 and again in 1666, major fires spread throughout the small village, taking with them lives and housing. The city fathers began action to remove the hazardous buildings from the bridge, but the actual demolition took place much later and required 4 years to complete. By 1763, Old London Bridge had a brand new look. For the first time in 550 years, it stood free and unobstructed by buildings of any sort. By the 18th century, London had prospered into a thriving, bustling city. The 600-year-old bridge had weakened and could no longer withstand the huge volume of traffic. In 1823, the House of Commons accepted a design for a new bridge by architect John Rennie. 2 years later, the foundation stone was laid. This new bridge would have only 5 arches and would utilize many of the stones used to support the old structure. The new London Bridge was opened on August 1st, 1871. There was great fanfare and celebration as King William IV and Queen Adelaide led the royal procession to the colorful tent set up on the London side of the bridge. Dancing and feasting greeted the new structure as it took its place in English history. Enter the 20th century. By the 1960s, the population of London had grown into the millions. Thousands crossed the bridge daily. The city was startled by the news that their beloved London Bridge could no longer support the crushing weight of vehicle and pedestrian traffic and was sinking into the soft, unstable clay below the Thames. After heated debate, the City of London had no choice but to build still another new London Bridge. Ivan F. Lucken, a member of the Corporation of the City of London, first proposed the sale of the historic monument in 1965. It was his hope that the London Bridge, which he considered an outstanding example of 19th century skill in masonry and construction, would not be lost to future generations, and at the same time be preserved as a record of the last London Bridge built of stone, a material that had been used to span London's Thames River for more than 750 years. While Lucken and his team pondered the fate of the bridge, events were taking place across the Atlantic that would provide the answer to their problem. An adventurous entrepreneur, Robert P. McCulloch Sr., had relocated his vast manufacturing empire from Los Angeles to the Arizona desert. McCulloch founded the town of Lake Havasu on the shores of the Colorado River. The growing community was already making a name for itself as a fishing and recreational center, but being a sound businessman, McCulloch was in the market for new ways to bring tourism and added revenue to his desert oasis. At the same time, C.B. Wood, a close friend of Robert McCulloch and master planner of McCulloch's desert development, heard about the sale of London Bridge. Realizing its tremendous tourism potential, Wood suggested that McCulloch buy it. Aware of a seemingly impossible task, or perhaps because of it, McCulloch agreed, and Lake Havasu's Wheel of Fortune was set in motion. The two men were at a loss. What do you bid for a 2,000-year-old piece of history? They decided on a figure of $2,460,000. McCulloch had discovered it would take about $1.2 million just to dismantle it for transfer. He doubled that amount to allow for a 100% profit for the City of London, then added $60,000. McCulloch based the figure on $1,000 for each year of his age at the time of the sale. The City of London received 50 inquiries about the structure's sale, with 3/4 of them coming from the U.S. McCulloch's bid may or may not have been the largest in terms of money, but the Londoners were concerned with the buyer's intention for their treasured monument. Finally, a delegation from the Corporation of the City of London approved McCulloch's bid after inspecting his Lake Havasu city site. The city's founder told the delegation that the London Bridge would be rebuilt with dignity and respect, following the original drawings of John Rennie and in the precise form that had been known to generations of Londoners and world travelers. The paperwork was signed on March 26, 1968, and the London Bridge entered the Guinness Book of World Records as the largest antique ever sold. The first of the 10,000 utter stones were delivered to the Arizona desert in July 1968. As the bridge was being dismantled in London, each stone was carefully marked with 4 numbers. The first number indicated which span claimed the stone, the second which row, and the last 2 indicated its position in the row. The reassembly was supervised by British engineer Robert Beresford. His fellow Englishman had told Beresford to take good care of the old bridge, and the young engineer assured them he would. Beresford used John Rennie's original plans as guidelines and began the monumental task of restructuring the London Bridge in another country. Thousands of well-wishers gathered as the 8,900-pound foundation stone was placed at the eastern end of the bridge on September 23, 1968. Presiding over the affair were Sir William Inglefield, Lord Mayor of London, and Jack Williams, Governor of Arizona. The stone's inscription read, "This bridge serves as a noble and enduring monument to the strong bonds that exist between America and England." Sir William was later quoted as saying that he couldn't think of any better bond between nations than a bridge, calling it an exchange of friendship and affection. He saw it as a delightful and happy event that London Bridge could be moved from one of the oldest cities in the world to one of the newest. Reconstructing the London Bridge wasn't easy. The long and tedious project would take 3 years to complete. Sand mounds had to be built beneath each arch. Each mound was carefully crafted to conform to the profile of the original arches. After work on the bridge was completed, a huge dredge called the Ranger was brought in to help shape the channel. The Ranger moved more than 2 million cubic yards of earth before the mile-long Bridgewater Channel was finished and water was allowed to flow back into Lake Havasu. The interior of the new London Bridge is hollow. The solid granite core of John Rennie's design had been replaced by a more lightweight steel-reinforced concrete structure. Visitors to the London Bridge are fascinated by its unique lighting. The pale green lampposts are actually cannons left over from wars past. They serve as reminders of the many battles that the London Bridge withstood. Like King William IV before him, Robert McCulloch wanted to celebrate the dedication of Sir John Rennie's London Bridge. He spared no expense, and before the party was over, more than 60,000 participated in the celebration. The gala dedication took place on October 10, 1971. Honored guests included the 688th Lord Mayor of London, Sir Peter Studd and Lady Studd, and Arizona Governor Jack Williams and Mrs. Williams. The London Bridge had found a new home.
After all that time away, the bridge has come to the USA. All roads lead to where he is. Stand aside, for there he is. It's not just like anywhere. Everyone will pass by there. And if you go there and inquire, you get your wish, your heart's desire. For London Bridge was taken down, piece by piece, shipped away. London Bridge has now gone up in the U.S.
The London Bridge is now one of the most frequently sought-after tourist attractions in Arizona. Visitors flock by the millions to see the amazing monument to man's ingenuity resting along the shores of beautiful Lake Havasu. And today, the incredible scenery and warm desert climate provide a background for many exciting national and world-class water competitions, such as the World Jet Ski Championships, the Redmond Bass Tournament, and international water skiing competitions. Lake Havasu's London Bridge has become a favorite with filmmakers around the world and has been featured in made-for-television movies like Bridge Across Time, based on a time warp that brought Jack the Ripper back to life. It also served as the backdrop for the return of Sherlock Holmes. MTV brought ice to the bridge one summer while taping Amok in America. The London Bridge also played a pivotal role in the Dino De Laurentiis production of Million Dollar Mystery. Is London Bridge really falling down? No, and it never will. Over its long life, London Bridge, as well as its predecessors, has been more than a mere span. It felt the presence of legendary figures, for who could have visited the young city of London without crossing the famed structure? It withstood being dismantled and a voyage across the ocean to a new land, and in the transition has become stronger and more famous than ever before. It has survived centuries of history, but let the bridge speak for itself.
Well, I've seen Roman leaders, cattle feeders, pilgrim hordes with tons of swords and ladies dressed in gowns. Priests and beasts and clowns, yes, I've seen snakes here, fakes here, William Shakespeare, kicking chickens, Charles Dickens, and fleets from Gaul. I've seen them all. And I've seen Johnson Sam and Johnson Ben and Hotspur's lot. So many men, sick victims, fell in heaps. So said Samuel Pepys, and I saw mandolins and Handel's violins, King Arthur's table, capes of sable, and so much more. I know the score. The better part of valor when you've lived 2,000 years is to savor every minute, all the laughter and the tears. And if scandal rears its ugly head, it's true you should deny it. You will live much longer keeping very quiet. But I don't care. I don't mind telling you that I've seen dynamitings, stately knightings, World War II when troops came through, and squads of German planes, Hitler at the reins, and I've seen Churchill's talks and quiet walks and let's pretendings, happy endings. I feel that I'm as old as time.
London Bridge has spanned both time and water steeped in history. It will continue to do so at its new home in Lake Havasu, Arizona. For Havasu Video Productions, I'm Bill Taylor.